All
So I
right.
offer to give an update on JS Roxy. I was just working on it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
And Jim, I wondered if you had anything to update on Robash.
Um, yeah, well, I didn't, uh, not really. I
Okay.
have to do a lot more experimentation with it. Uh,
Okay, cool. Well, I
yeah,
wondered I wondered also if I could just like maybe I'll show JS Roxy and then if I could just ask you some questions like design wise about like how Robash might work because
yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of hacking just,
okay, cool.
just to show what doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah, cool. That sounds good. All right, you want to go first or you want JS Roxy first?
JS Roxy.
All right. Oh, let me just close some of the million things that are open.
It actually, I'll wait till the video starts to record. I got it.
It's yeah, he's got it. It's recording.
Oh, okay. And just to review again, as far as what JS Roxy is, so that's it's more. Well, me explain it in the way I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
It's to kind of take Rolang and feeding it into like a WASM interpreter so it's going to be used more broadly. Is that the thought?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with WASM.
Okay.
It is basically a Rolang interpreter.
Okay.
So if you think about a language that has existed for a long time, like C, you know it has this whole ecosystem, right? On the one hand, there's the language spec, or you know really even a series of language specs, like it got updated a couple of times, and then there's also a bunch of different C compilers. So you know you could use GCC or you could use CLang or you could use some Windows thing, or there was a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So Rolang's new and it doesn't have that broad ecosystem. And the
Okay.
current situation is that the R-Chain co-op is the only group who has a reasonably working Rolang interpreter. Now, you know, it's not perfect, but you definitely can run real Rolang against it.
Okay.
And so I wanted to write another Rolang interpreter that I wrote from the ground up. And then as I was thinking about that, I realized there were things that I wanted to do a little bit differently in Rolang. And it got to the point where at first I was saying like, this is Rolang, I just did this little thing different. And then I just did this little thing different. And then it got to the point where I was like, all right, well, I've made enough kind of like significant language changes that I really shouldn't call it Rolang. So I'm calling it Roxy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very, very Rolang-like, you know, like
Gotcha.
you'll immediately recognize the syntax and everything.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So this is really in the weeds. This is like I just finally got CI working so that every time I make a commit, automated tests run against it. And they passed on my local system, but 2 of them failed here. But I don't think that's the best place to start. A better place to start would be here in JS Roxy. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so it's called JS Roxy because this is the one I'm writing in JavaScript. I have hopes of doing Haskell and Rust also, but like Haskell's way on the back seat and like Rust, I don't know. But this one is enough to talk about. JS Roxy is like kind of okay. So I have a couple little silly, simple Rolang programs here. None of them are very complicated. It's just the kind of like basic ones to see if basic features of the interpreter work. So let me just show you one. So new X in star Y, very simple program. The idea is that this name Y was never bound, and so the interpreter should throw an error. But I think that's the only like intentional error. I think the other ones are more normal. Like how about simple.row? Oh, this one's a little bit complicated. So like we make 2 new names, X and Y, and then this process here is, you know, it's a nil, but then it's also done in parallel with like evaluating an unforgeable name. So they're just basic things like how about hello? That one seems like a good one to show. Yeah, there's a good one. So we bring in standard out and we say hello world and then another line. And so like these are the level of programs that JS Rhoxy can run successfully now. You know, not like big purses and advanced contracts and stuff, but I think I'm getting there.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was like, I was just showing you the rholange folder. So that's just snippets of rholange code. And then in source, this is where all of the actual like JavaScript files live. And I have it in my editor. And so let's see, what was I working on today? I did this in the row VM. Oh yeah, right, okay. So there's this function called par in. This is like the heart of the rholange interpreter. And you're basically saying like, hey, I want to throw a new term into the tuple space. And then I just do a switch case and I say like, okay, well, what kind of term is it? Because JavaScript doesn't have pattern matching. So this is basically what I'm doing. So I'm saying like, if it's a ground term, well, great, do nothing. Ground terms don't affect the tuple space at all. So that's the dead simple one. If it's a bundle, which is the bundles, I think, is why I finally got started on this, because I was trying to fix a bug that was in the RChain interpreter. But if it's a bundle, you just par in the thing. Let's see, how did I do that one? I said you par in the process that the bundle wraps. Yeah, I think that's right. And then if it's a send, okay, here's where something interesting happens. First of all, we like evaluate all the names, and you know, all of the like variable mentions get turned into actual concrete things. And then we update this is the actual call to update the tuple space. So the tuple space is this map of sends and a map of receives. So here's where we actually put that new send that we just created into the tuple space. Joins is what I'm calling receives. Pars are kind of cool. So when you're like putting in a par, all you really have to do is like loop through every one of the pars and individually par it in. So simple recursive call. New is really interesting. So new is like, let's see. Well, I'll show one of those programs here. This one. So when you do new x, y, then you have to add these, you basically have to allocate two new unforgeable names and add them into the environment. And the environment is basically just like a list of all the variables that you've declared and the things that those variables are equal to. So when you do a new, when you par in like new x in something, then this is where it calculates all of the actual unforgeable IDs. The split random is part of the like mergeable and splittable random number generator stuff. And then we say like, okay, so however many names we wanted to create, 2 in my example, x and y, we loop through all 2 of those and we put in some new bindings. And then you go and you continue with the body. So it's probably going to be cooler though. Well, here's what I was getting to. I added this case today. Like this was just simply not implemented before. And so now I implemented the case where you're evaluating a variable. And so basically when you're evaluating a variable, there's no like concept of names. So you don't have to drop names. Variables are just processes. And so all you do is you like say like, okay, well, you're trying to run X. What did X equal? Let's grab that process and run that process. And so that's what I added in today. And there's a error case for if you try to run a variable that doesn't exist in the environment, then that's the expected behavior is that the program crashes there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the funnest thing is going to be to just run some of these examples and see whether they run. I could also do this. So these are the same automated tests that I have been using. I added 2 new ones to test the new snippet that I wrote today. And I think they're going to run successfully here. At least they did earlier. Yeah, everything passed. And so like, this is one of those weird cases where I said, okay, 57 passed and 1 skipped. But when I did it on the like continuous integration server, I got 53 passed, 2 failed. Oh, I just understood why. I did this on a separate branch where the code is still outdated. So the tests worked, but they legitimately failed. Glad we talked through that, guys. Yeah. Okay. So so let's run some of these, right? Some of the Rolanges. So here's our options. Com over new. I don't know which ones of these work and which ones don't, but we'll just check it out. So here's what com over new does. Oh, this looks like a pretty complicated one, actually. Wow. So we grab the standard out, so that allows us to print to the console. And then we say, oh, this is a send. Okay, so the channel we're sending on is new x in x. And what we're sending on it is nil. Oh, God, this is a really complicated one. I don't know why this is in here. This is going to test a lot of stuff. It uses pattern matching, and it receives over a different channel. So this is receive anything from this channel. Mm-hmm. And so basically, like, and then if we get the message, then we just print got a com. So basically, this whole thing is a test to see whether we can get a com event to happen when the channel is that wacky thing that I have highlighted.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have no idea what's going to happen there, but let's just see if it at least doesn't crash. That's always the desired behavior.
Right.
So node source index.js, and then we're going to do com over new. Oh yeah, it didn't parse it correctly. Okay, so it didn't parse the underscore. So the underscore is supposed to be a pattern. So I'm not going to debug this right now, but just to like give a sense of how the code works. Mm-hmm. Inside a source, we have parser, and then the main thing is rhoxy.ne, and then pattern matcher.ne probably has, that didn't have the underscore actually, so yeah, so there's still work to be done there. Mm-hmm. So let's try another one. Let's try hello. Oh no, that's too bad. I thought that one was gonna work. So what's it telling me? So we're trying to look up standard out and then send hello world and dude. Oh, I thought those were both, I'm pretty sure those had both worked before, but it's given me term.tag. So, okay, so another thing to debug. And the other thing is like, the reason I write these simple programs is because, you know, we just saw the whole test suite pass, right? But if real programs are still not running, then that gives me hints about like where I need more test coverage. So I'll probably like manually debug this one. And then when I figure out what was wrong, then I'll be like, oh, yep, should have written a test, write the test, make sure it catches the error, and then finally fix the error. So trying not to end up with too much technical debt. But I haven't worked on this in about a month until today. So I was pretty happy with the,
yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Let's see what simple does. Oh, that's the one we were just looking at. So what, I mean, the expected behavior here is that it just runs and doesn't output anything and doesn't crash.
Okay.
So let's see if, because the two things that we finally end up running are nil, which is always a ground term, and whatever x is, and in this case, x was an unforgeable name, and they're also ground terms. So let's run it. Okay, hey, that one worked. That's great.
Cool.
So I don't know what structural equivalence test is. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I haven't built my grammar. Since we're getting these parse errors, I wonder if that's a problem. So I don't know if that works when I run it from here. Yeah, I guess it probably does. It didn't change anything though. So yeah, okay. So dang, more of these are failing than I was hoping, but that's okay. Oh, telephone. I think I remember this one not working before, but this is a program I actually really like. And basically the idea is like we send this string is called message, and we send it on some channel, make sure we can receive it on the same channel, and then, you know, just print anything, just like make sure we got the message. So we should have like a silent com event and then the letters C print out.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can do that. I think I remembered the joins like this 4x from Chan not going in the right way. Interim structural hash. Oh, wow. That's deep. That one's deep in there.
Wow.
All right, let's try the last one, unbound. This one is the expected error. So, but what it means is like we shouldn't just see the thing crash still. We should actually have it give us an error. Like, I think it's supposed to tell us the name variable y is not bound in the environment or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Okay, so we were like 2 for 7 there. I'm pretty happy about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is a neat project.
Yeah.
Your understanding of JavaScript and Rholang, or just computation, is going to really grow working through this project.
Yeah, so I was working on it pretty actively a couple of months ago, and I was learning a ton, and now I'm doing the substrate stuff more actively. But I was glad that I brushed the dust off of this today. Tomislav actually helped out too. A couple of weeks ago, he fixed a bug in the parser that was driving me nuts. So pretty happy about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, neat.
Yeah. All right, Jim, you want to tell us about Robash?
Yeah, let's see. I'm sort of dozing here a little bit.
Hey, Jim, before you get started, was there supposed to be a governance call at 12 p.m.
Oh,
today?
yeah, there is, and I haven't really prepared for that. So,
oh, dang. Okay.
So so thanks for calling that out. I think we have to save the Robash for next time.
All right, sounds good.
Are you planning on doing a substrate thing on Monday?
I'm gonna do substrate on Monday, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep, gonna make it happen this week for sure.
Yeah. All right. Later, guys.
All right. See you next time.
Off to governance.
Thanks, Joshy.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.